Dr. Matt, Dr. Zach, Vertebros back. And we also have our guest resident doctor, our German physician, German Shepherd Pointer Maple. She's helping us out today. We're talking about spine surgeries. And, well, I don't think anyone wakes up and says, boy, I hope I get to have a spine surgery sometime in my life. So we want to talk about what spine surgeries cost, the effectiveness of them, but also, more importantly, how can we prevent that, right, Dr. Zach?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, one of the things we like to start out with when we're talking about spine surgeries is a surgery, especially of the spine, is going to be a last resort, right? They're going to try a lot of things before that point. And some of these videos we've already touched on, like physical therapy, cortisone injections too. They're going to try some of those things beforehand too. Yeah. And surgery ultimately is like the last resort. You want to start from more least invasive processes, and surgery obviously is going to be the most invasive. And talking about back surgeries too. So yeah, we definitely have some stats that we like to go over with you today.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the things that we need to know is that if we have to get to the point where you have to do a spine surgery, which again, like Dr. Zach alluded to, it should be the last thing. We actually see too many people do spine surgeries earlier than they probably need to. We find that we have a lot of people that come see us that have already been offered spine surgery, and they choose to try chiropractic. And hey, I mean, I know we're chiropractors, we're going to tell you this, but we help them so they don't need to have spine surgery. So that's really cool. But when we're looking at spine surgery, it's a large range on how much they even cost and how effective they are. So a lot of the different journals that report that spine surgery's successfulness, depending on the type of it, can range from 50% all the way up to like 60%. Now, if you start looking at some of the different studies that are put out by, well, we'll just say hospitals, because that's a lot of studies are put out by different hospitals or universities that have hospitals, well, then they range upwards to 60 to 80%. So we'll just leave that to you to decide where those numbers lie, okay? But beyond that, when we talk about cost of spine surgery can really range. Dr. Zach, what are some of the costs?
Yeah, so costs associated with spine surgery, like obviously some people choose to maybe pay out of pocket, but most people run through an insurance of some type, and obviously coverage can be very different. But I would say on the low end, spine surgery is going to cost you around $10,000 on the low end, and just depending what you need. And if you need multiple spine surgeries, I mean, you can call up to like 40, 50,000, or even up to $100,000 if it's significant enough too. So I mean, that's a huge range, and even $10,000 for a minimum is like, some people are just like, whoa, like it costs that much.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's very expensive, and I don't like we said when we started. Nobody wakes up and says, boy, I want to have a spine surgery and I want to be dishing out like $10,000. There's lots of other ways that you could spend $10,000 that is going to be productive to your health. So our big angle is saying, why don't we try to prevent spine surgery from ever happening? Because it absolutely can. We find in, I think, one of our last videos, and if I haven't said this stat, well over 80% of the population, and not just American population, but global population, will end up having back pain at some time in their life. And we know that all of those people, there's going to be a percentage of them. I think it ranges in between 3 to 10%. I know that's a bit of a range, but that's where it sits. Well, people who have chronic back pain that are going to be candidates for spine surgery. So how about let's just prevent that? And spinal care is one of the best ways to do that. Chiropractic is focused on actually making sure the joints move properly so they don't break down as quickly. And it allows for your spine to stay healthy longer.
Yeah, absolutely. And then touching, like, say you do have to have a spine surgery, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. Of course, sometimes it is necessary, right? But, after a spine surgery, whether they're working on the disc, part of the nerve, maybe like a laminectomy, or they do a full fusion of the spine too, what's important is that the area of the spine where they did the surgery is often weaker than at that point in time, or it's not even going to move at all. They're going to choose to stabilize it too, because they're trying to obviously help something that's going on in that area. So what happens then, if those joints aren't moving properly, the joints above it and below it have to work even harder, and that's what tends to wear out down the line. Now, of course, not overnight, but within 3 to 5 years, and then 5 to 10 years. I mean, those joints can wear down very quickly, and then all of a sudden, then they're like, oh, now we fuse this area, now we got to fuse the area above it now, and then it just leads to more and more too. So I would argue that after you have a spinal surgery, it's actually even more important to take care of it at that point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we say take care of it, we mean chiropractic care. Because sometimes people think, oh, we'll take care of it, like, oh, I shouldn't see a chiropractor. That's absolutely nonsense. And the only way to make sure your spine stays healthy is by actually having a professional keep an eye on it and make sure that everything's moving the way it's supposed to. Now, we're just speaking from clinical experience. We see this firsthand with people who have spine surgeries. But you can talk to the surgeons themselves. They'll tell you the same thing. Those areas, the joints will never be the same. Yeah, they just won't after you've done some slicing and dicing in there. But there's so much we could dive into here today, but we want to wrap this up. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And of course, if you have questions, please post them below. If you have questions that you want to talk to us directly, well, come on in. We're here to help you to make sure you don't end up having to have some type of surgery on your back and dishing out tons of money.